So anyway, so the concert was awesome. We had such a good time. It was the opening act, all whole 9 yards, because it was, what was the opening act? I can't remember, but I've been listening to...
Hi. Hey.
Oh, hey. How's it going?
Good. How are you? I remember you. Yeah. We had a session years ago, didn't we?
Yeah. Many years ago.
Yeah. It's good to see you.
Yeah.
I'm Cory.
Hi, Cory.
How are you?
Good.
But you look familiar.
Yeah, you did the sound bath meditation.
Where at?
At Julie Richardson's library.
The Healing House.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
that's...
Yeah.
You were telling my wife Sonia about those weeds.
They're no weeds. They're Newtonia cordata. I've been struggling with them all summer. Yeah. And they're finally giving in.
Oh, cool.
They're finally waning until next year.
She got, I know she came and got some from you. She has those drying, and I don't know what she's going to do with them, but I said, you may not plant them. Only after what you told us about that. I was like, yeah.
They grow like weeds.
They grow like, see, that's why I call it
They
weed.
grow like weeds, and then they're just quite interesting.
Aww. Well, what brings you in?
Oh, just browsing.
Yeah.
Just wanna,
see some crystals.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to get my crystal fix every once in a while.
Yeah, of course. So what are you up to now? What have you been doing?
Well, not a whole lot. Just retired.
Oh, I didn't realize you retired.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I've been retired since 21.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So how's that been for you?
It's been difficult.
Really?
Yeah. I'm getting used to it now.
Yeah.
But I just felt no purpose. After 43 years of doing it was like, okay, what am I supposed to do now?
Right. It's got to be a shot.
Yeah. So, but I forced myself to do it. I'm kind of proud of myself I did that, because I think it would have been easy to just keep on doing it, even though I really felt like I outgrew it.
Mm-hmm.
What did you retire from?
My profession. I was a psychiatric social worker and had my own practice.
Oh, okay. Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
How long did you do that for?
Oh my God, 44 years. But I was in different settings.
Wow. So how do you disengage your identity from that?
Yeah.
It's very hard.
I'll bet.
Yeah. But I think that's part of the reason I did it, because I feel like there was this conscious thought every once in a while when I was practicing, like, your profession is occupying too much of you, and so there's a part of me that knew that I needed to end it. Even though I loved what I did, I brought my dogs to work. We had 2-hour lunch breaks. But I had taken a lot of spiritual classes, and Reiki master, and this teacher, and I was looking at my bookcase, and I thought, this is not a therapist's bookcase anymore. It's all these spiritual books and whatever. And there was this little feeling that there's something more to do, and therapy isn't it anymore for you. It was a nice stepping stone. And I still don't know what it is. I thought it would magically appear. But I think what's happening is that I need to go through this period of non-structure to focus on me.
Readjustment.
Yeah.
Easing
I've given to others all my life.
Right.
My profession was easy for me because, it was more of that. Mm-hmm. And it was like, needing to catch up on my childhood, and just kind of, Well,
you may not know by looking at me, but I was a career Army officer for 22 years.
Really? Wow. I would never guess that one.
No, most people wouldn't. So it's actually kind of, your story is very interesting. It hits home for me too as well, because I did, like I said, those 22 years. Prior to joining, I was very free-spirited. That's why I dropped out of college, because I was failing.
Mm-hmm.
Enlisted in the Army. And then eventually became an officer. But looking back on it, I realized I needed that structure and discipline to corral this crazy, wild, free, whatever I was. I don't think I would have made it had I not joined the service. I would have self-destructed. But so 22 years, that kind of, almost that cements an identity. But, so I've been retired now for, January will be 10 years.
Wow.
But it's taken me that long to remember who I was.
Yeah.
And it was a slow process. Once I retired, I was still very military minded. I did grow my beard, but everybody does that. All the guys do that when they get out of the service. They just, I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why they do it, but they just do it.
Yeah.
And some of them try to grow their hair. Most can't at that age. I could, so I did.
Yeah.
And but it was very cool because that helped me remember who I was prior to the service.
Yeah.
And now that I've got this structure in place, I've got this discipline where I'm not going to go off the rails. I mean, it was some wild ass energy that I had prior to joining the military, and I would have self-destructed had I not taken that step and gone in. So about the past 4 years ago, I guess I really started to wake up, and that's when things really began to move. So I totally get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
It's this transition process because 44 years.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
What was I doing 44 years ago? I was 12.
Well, but isn't it funny how, like, you were wild and free and you might have self-destructed and you had to get that job to get you corralled in and get you to make a living and take care of your family and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you let it go so that you can just go back and find yourself again.
Yes.
It's so interesting how we have to do that. It's almost like the cycle of life. We're a child and we're free and we're just like full of wonder and then we're buckled down, do this, do that. Right. And then once we get older, a lot of very elderly people become childlike again.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And they let go of all the worries.
That's right.
It's so
And
funny.
I feel like you and I are a little bit inverted. You were this wild beast that needed the structure to contain that. And I was different. I was always structured. I was afraid to let that wild beast out.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I was going to join the military because my mom couldn't afford college and whatever. But I ended up going to college. My guidance counselor had me go in his office and he asked me what I'm going to do. I was on a Regents, kind of a college thing.
Yeah.
And so I said, I think I'm going to go to the Air Force. And he said, well, is there anything wrong with you? And I said, well, the only thing wrong with me is that my kneecaps are dislocate sometimes. It's like, ooh. And so he connected me with the Department of Voc Rehab. And long story short, they paid for my room and board, and I also had scholarships. So that's how I went to the college.
Wow.
Yeah. I was going to go to the Air Force to get away from home.
Yeah.
And again, continue the structure that I felt like I needed. And then my profession created another structure. Then I go into spirituality. I enter that whole, I got introduced to Reiki. That was amazing story how that happened. And then that opened up a door. And once I walked through it, you can't go back.
Right.
And then I integrated it into my profession, which I always felt worried about because here I was a licensed therapist. You were supposed to touch. And I didn't, I was very careful, which I never had a problem because people kind of came to me that were open to it and whatever. And it was actually a wonderful experience in therapy. I mean, especially people with anxiety disorder.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so helpful. But I always felt a little bit weird, like I really shouldn't be doing this. I have such a strong super ego, so, but and then retirement, when I retired, that's all of a sudden no structure.
Yeah.
And I went bananas.
Oh,
what am I going to do? Right? Yeah, so it's like,
It's being plopped in the middle of the ocean and just
Exactly. Yeah,
without a life raft.
Oh my God. Hold that thought. All right, break. I don't know why this just turned
I
off.
noticed it did do that, and I was like, ooh.
Okay, it's still recording. It's just the how's my battery? Okay, battery's gonna last.
Oh, yeah.
30 more minutes, so that's good. Okay, so
So the whole part about the shoulding on ourselves, I think you were sharing with me
the
earlier.
what on ourselves?
Shoulding.
Let's make sure we should.
I know, right. I was thinking that too.
That's why they say it.
Have you seen that old commercial? It's about a store where they ship things for you, and people are running around saying like, "I just shipped my pants." I shipped my pants too. I'm shipping my pants now. So shoulding.
Not just should on yourself, but it's like you were saying earlier. Your whole worth is tied up in serving and giving and making a difference and having this purpose and helping people.
Yeah.
And then suddenly when that stops, you're like, wait a minute, what do I do?
Yeah, now it's your turn.
Yeah.
Now it's your turn to learn how to receive.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
it sounds so easy.
It does sound easy.
Anyone would be so envious. You can do anything you want, you know. And it was like just this vacuum at first, you know, and it's like so. And I have a lot of interest in all, but all of a sudden I just didn't want to do anything, you know. I just slept late until 11, and then walk the dogs a long walk. You know, it's like okay, now what?
Well, I can have lunch.
And then when you're working, it's the opposite. You know, you always think, oh, you know, I can't wait till I get off and I can do this and that. I can't wait till the weekend. My acupuncturist said, you know, well, what are you going to do this weekend? And he said, weekend's coming. I said, well, the weekend's every day for me.
Yeah.
I'm tired. It's very interesting.
A lot of people go through this.
I totally agree.
I was even sharing with her earlier, I think the worst case scenario is sometimes people do feel completely, they just can't find their way and they don't feel useful anymore. They don't feel like they've got something exciting to get them up and like somebody needs them.
That's a good point.
I think that's when illness and sickness and ultimately death, death comes in.
Right.
Stagnation first.
Stagnation
first, and then I totally agree with that.
Yeah, it's sad. So, but the people that rock the retirement, they learn Reiki and they get a spiritual career and they start doing sound baths and they start doing YouTubes or whatever, and then they're having a great old time, you know. So
well, I hope I will get there. As I did a pie crust making class yesterday with some friends and neighbors, and that was really fun. And we'll see how it all. What I have been doing, it's just been a very intentional thing. When I'm taking a shower in the morning, I just say to myself, don't worry about the structures. Even with the gym now is the structure. You know, well, sometimes I don't feel like going to I just want to be cozy on the couch, you know, with my cat or whatever. And I'm just trying to follow my energy. You know, that's the intention I set each day, is to try to just follow the energy, you know. And that's so hard to do because sometimes you think, well, my energy is saying I just want to veg, and then I'll just do nothing but veg forever. You know? But, you know, I'm very much a strong believer in balance, you know. And I think, you know, I always like a balanced day, you know, to have something physical, then just, you know, relax and, you know, whatever. And I think that is part of my internal workings too, is creating that balance, you know.
Yep. Well, what about too, working on the inner child? You know, so what if you were to wake up and be like, my 4-year-old wants to go to the swing set today and just go to the playground and kind of nurture that little inner child.
So that's where
an excellent idea.
Absolutely, but that's where the identity gets stuck. And that's where, well, no, seriously, I mean, you know, you get to this point where you retire out of a profession, and your identity's so tied to it, you don't allow that.
Right.
You know, your identity is no longer who it really is, and unless you go back to that person inside you, that inner child, and say, hey, let's introduce ourselves again. I had a reading done when I was in Savannah this weekend, and the reader, he and I were like, you know, two peas in a pod, so we got along great. And he said, he told Sonia this first, which Sonia told me later. I didn't know this, but during my session, he goes, "You're really nothing but a big kid." And I was like, yes, that's absolutely right. Because I wasn't allowed to be. I was the oldest child. Dad was in the service. So there's some strict discipline as we're growing up with this free spirit. That was tough. Joined the service, you know, actually involved with the service for over 25 years because I had a 3.5-year stint in ROTC between being enlisted and an officer. So it was actually 25 plus years in total. And then I get out, I'm like, let me go get my ear pierced. Okay.
So that's when that happened.
5 more times. No, actually, no. That just happened over the past year. But I mean, it actually, when I retired, it was like, I'm going to grow my hair. I'm going to grow my mustache out. I'm not going to work out anymore. I'm going to get big. And I did. And that was a mistake. So I had to cut about 30 pounds after the year after I got out of the service. But it was a process of reinventing myself or re-remembering myself. And it took years to do that. It really did. Because I was struggling with, I think what I was struggling with was inner child's trying to come out. And I'm like, you're not a child anymore. You just, yeah, exactly. Push it down. You've been an Army officer for 18 plus years. And, you can't, let's just leave that alone. Oh, and then guess what? I let it out. Why did I wait so long?
Right.
And I just decided I'm going to be as weird and as strange as I want to be.
Yeah.
And I don't care what other people think.
The thing is, I think if you don't acknowledge that inner child, it will sabotage you.
Yeah.
And I think it sounds so weird, inner child, we're all adults,
Right.
But there is, it never dies. I feel like it's the spirit of us,
Yeah.
and it doesn't fit in a nice box the way we want it to sometimes,
Yes.
and it can be a little crazy and, whatever, and that's what makes it interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, and that's kind of where I was going with my last comment. I didn't really complete it, but suppressing the inner child could sabotage you, but I think it's more like you will sabotage yourself by not engaging.
Well, that's what I mean.
Right.
Yeah.
Because now you're like, oh no, I've got to find some self-worth. And the only self-worth I know how to get is from this career that I tied my identity to. And if you can't recognize that and break away from it, that's when you sabotage yourself.
Right.
And I'm wondering though, but you did bring up a good point. I'm wondering what the inner child actually does. Does it just go back to sleep? Or does it start jumping up and down like a child?
If it's not listened to?
Yeah.
I think it probably does different things for different people.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I think basically it's angry, so it's probably going to be more rebellious and really kind of, I think it's a self-sabotage. You talk about how we self-sabotage. I think that's our inner child. Not feeling heard or listened to. And here I am. I feel like a hypocrite because I just dealt with inner child work a lot with my clients. I would do guided imageries to help them get in touch with it. And then here I've had done. And that's the hard thing about being a therapist. You're always looked up to. You're the expert. It just fed into everything that was so comfortable for me. But now I'm not. I'm just an unknown territory. But it's all. I feel all the answers are within ourselves, and I have to trust to listen, as you say, to ask that little girl, what does she want to do? Even if it sounds weird, and I have done that a bit. I think that's why that bunny dream isn't coming back. We talked about the bunny dream. I really feel it was my inner child, the bunnies, that I was neglecting with the feeding and all. And now that I'm, I think, paying more attention, it's not coming back, thank God, because it was awful. The feeling was awful. Yeah. So, it's very, but I think, life is just so interesting because I think so much is in the gray. You know what I mean? So I'm going to let my inner child out. I'm not going to pay the bills. It's this balance, and it's always about the balance. And I think that is about everything we do. Eating, exercising, everything is about balance. And it sounds so easy. And it's probably the most difficult thing to achieve, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can see that.
And I think parts of the balance are easier for some of us, and to be wild and crazy is easier for you. To be more structured is easier for me.
Right.
So I need to work on being wild and crazy, not worrying about anything.
Yes.
He needs to worry about being a little bit more disciplined. And right? Correct?
No, I reject that. I'm not going to be more disciplined, not unless I have to. Now, of course, responsibilities, family, and life, and being an adult. But
you can have fun.
You grow into that as a child. You grow into that. You don't have to lose the sense of fun.
The spirit.
The spirit of being the child.
That's it. Yeah, I always say,
Yeah.
just put on those wonder eyes. Look at everything. It's like you're seeing it for the first time.
Yes.
Dude, look at that.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you get into that child frequency.
Right. The awe.
It might be a tad easier for me because I'm Vietnamese, so
Yeah.
so it comes naturally.
Your ears?
Yeah.
Oh, are you?
I never wanted to grow up. I pretty much didn't. I didn't take the fancy careers that made me. I just was like, yeah, I don't want to do that. I want to do something fun.
Well, maybe that was the best thing.
Yeah. That's why I went to work with dogs, because I was like,
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
So, but gosh, this is going to be really good. Thank you for letting us, use this. With our
This was
YouTube channel.
fun.
I think a lot of people are going to relate,
Yeah.
and it'll help.
Yeah. At first I thought, okay, I didn't quite know what to do next, and I didn't know, should I mention things that we just talked about or whatever.
That's your session.
But it all kind of just flowed. And then you forget, you forget that the camera's even on.
Yes.
You just kind of get involved
Which is
in
great.
what you're
Well,
talking about.
that was funny because the first session we ever recorded, and Jackie was just so flippin' nervous. I don't like the camera.
This is my biggest fear.
So we had literally set up right over here 2 chairs. We sat down. And I just started bullshitting.
Yeah. She's like, we're just having a conversation.
An hour later, I was like, and that's how you do a podcast, Jackie. She's like,